Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all good. I'm joined by my mum today.
Hey guys.
So today I thought we'd just come and talk about what it's like working together as a family and running a family business.
I don't know why I did that.
What the hell?
As soon as you said it was going to be unscripted, I just thought ad lib.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know, me and my mum run a property development business together called LCM Home, and we've been running it now for 2 years. A whole 2 years.
It must be longer than that.
No.
Okay.
I only left my job 2 years ago.
Yeah, okay.
And that's when it all started.
But it was quick, wasn't it, I guess?
Yeah, it's all happened so quickly. So much has happened. So it feels like a long time, but really it's only 2 years in the game.
Yeah, because actually, I think the reason it feels longer, because are we talking about SA? We've got to, haven't we? The reason, you can leave that in. The reason it feels longer, we must have been planning it before now, because I think we set up one of the property companies in, I'm going to say August, because I remember us getting our first SA booking in September.
Yeah, but it all just happened so quickly.
Yeah, it was really quick, wasn't it?
Yeah, because we were in Ibiza when we were having to start setting up.
Oh gosh, yeah. Like order furniture and stuff.
Order all the furniture, and then literally I came back from Ibiza and went to work for 1 day, and then I was like, I need to leave.
Yeah.
It's all very dramatic.
Yeah, it was. I remember that meal.
Oh yeah. I'll have to save that for another day. So, how have you found working with me over the past 2 years?
I guess there's a lot of people in family businesses, especially where it's a parent and a child. Because I feel like if your siblings, like a brother and a sister, you're more likely to already feel like you're kind of equals anyway. But I feel with a parent and a child, I think it's very easy to slip into the kind of dynamic where I could feel like I'm the boss or almost like baby you a bit sometimes. So I think that has been interesting to kind of get used to as a dynamic. I think there definitely have been times where maybe I do try to sort of protect you from things, sometimes if we've got challenges, maybe I'll think, I want to see if I can fix that, or soften the blow before I take it to Leah. Do you know what I mean? Because I kind of think that you won't be as tough as me because you're not as old. But actually, I think the reality is often then you've shown that you have got the grit, to kind of to handle it.
Yeah, I think you're like I don't know what the word is. Like you showed your mother vibes when we had to get rid of the SAs when I was living there. I feel like some of it was because you just felt like I was unsafe.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I guess because ultimately at the end of the day, the family is always going to come before business. Do you know what I mean? As a decision, I think. Always it's got to. So.
Well, for us anyway, it's not the same for all families. Some people don't get on.
It's very true, and I think money, business and money and that kind of thing. It does often get in between relationships, and you can. People get funny about money. That's the reality of it, and I think sometimes greed gets involved in all of those sorts of things. But yeah, in terms of that decision to sell that business, I just thought about it in terms of the safety of you, the safety of other people that are involved in the business, and yeah, I think it was a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer.
Definitely.
But I feel in terms of decisions, I kind of feel like most decisions we are 50-50.
Yeah, I think so. I agree.
In terms of big decisions. And if anything, there are some decisions where maybe you take more of a lead than I do.
Yeah, I think it's definitely like 50-50. And I think one thing that's really important is I feel like we just have like our own lane within the company. Like no one's stepping on each other's toes. It's like I do what I do and you do what you do.
Yeah.
Which I think is really important because otherwise it's just like, what are you doing? Like what are you both bringing to the business?
Yeah. You got to bring something, definitely. There's definitely some decisions I feel that the one thing that you bring probably more than me, I feel like you bring more drive to it. Because I think you are more likely to take risks. So I'm probably more risk averse. I think that's because I was going to say I'm old. Because I'm older, because I'm older, and I'm probably, my accountant background as well sometimes comes out with the numbers and all that sort of thing, which there's nothing wrong with that, but I feel like I am a lot more risk averse, I guess, than I was at your sort of age. And so actually that, I think that's a really good combination, because I feel like you bring that drive and energy that says, come on, let's do that. You know, which if it was just me at this sort of age, I probably wouldn't have bought half the things that we bought, and we wouldn't have, you know, had all of the essays and wouldn't have learnt all those lessons and everything.
Yeah. So, do you think if I didn't want to get into property, like what do you think you would be doing, like property wise?
I don't think we would. I mean, it's something that was kind of on our radar, had been on our radar for a while, but I guess I sort of always saw it as something that was like in the far distance. So I don't think we would have gotten into it yet.
Yeah.
Definitely not. It would have been another, 5-10 years or something. It would have been more of like a retirement plan, as in like full retirement, rather than something that you start building now as kind of like a semi-retirement almost, I think. So we wouldn't be in it yet.
It's just like our income now.
Yeah.
It's like our life.
Yeah. So it's a part of our livelihood, isn't it? Whereas I tell you what I think is quite funny, what I find funny is when people are asking you questions on your YouTube videos, and they're kind of almost like insinuating, oh, was it your mum did your mum do it for you, or or did your mum pay for that? Or I'm thinking, this is a business that we have to get the funding from wherever, and there's been times when you've sort of really pushed in terms of our funding options, and I just think I don't think people realise that we do actually run it as a business. Do you know what I mean?
It's like, this isn't some like joke just because you see me like, oh, here's like our renovation. It's like a full business,
and it's not a case of like me kind of funding it and doing all the work in the background, and you just turn up in front of the camera with your nails done.
Why you have to come for my nails?
When we were stripping the walls, you with your acrylic nails. That was
but
hilarious.
they did last. They did last. Yeah, that's actually really interesting that you say that, because I did get one comment where they were like, oh, did your mum pay for it or whatever. It's only one, to be fair, so I don't think it's that often, but I kind of think if you wouldn't have started the business without me, then it's almost like, what is your point? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, because people do ask about funding, and so for the first pot of money, yes, we did get that from, so we refinanced, the family home to draw out some equity to kind of start the process. But then really what we've basically then done is we've then obviously, done renovations where we could add value, get the money back out so you can then recycle it to use. So it's just like one pot. So it's not like, it's not like now that every renovation that they see on your channel is going to be like, your parents funding it. That's kind of ridiculous, really. But that's what I think some people insinuate.
Yeah, but I think it is interesting because obviously, with our last renovation, we did work with an investor.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. Yeah, and that's the thing. So it wasn't, because that was a very big renovation in terms of budget. And, so we didn't do that by, kind of going and refinancing again or anything. We actually worked with a private investor. So to me, that's, as in, because we're running it like a business, so we actually kind of went out and got that investment. And actually, when we had the down valuation and the deal was at risk of falling through, and I was kind of like, Leah, I think this deal's going to fall through. Leah was like, come on, we have not come this far for this. You were the one that actually was like, no, we've got to do X, Y, and Z. And that's when we started, okay, we've got to go and find an investor, which we'd never had that challenge before.
Yeah.
But I feel that the way that you approached that and kind of just, you were the impetus, I think. If we hadn't had that conversation that day, sorry, Leah, we're just kicking the camera. I feel like if we hadn't had that conversation that day, that this deal may never have happened.
Yeah, you would never have seen the old office. Yeah, it's interesting. I guess that's I'm going to say generational differences where I'm just I want to go ham. I want to not buy as much as I can. That's too extra. But I am more likely to take risks because I know that in 10 years time, I'll only be 33. So do you know what I mean? I'm we can take risks. Where you're older, you might be like, oh, I don't know if we can do it. Do you know what I mean? So I think the mixture of the two is good. It
is good. I think when you're older, you do tend to have more caution. I think there's a great saying that youth is wasted on the young, And what it basically means is, you know, when you're young, you have lots of energy, but you don't necessarily have the experience or the wisdom. But I feel actually by having a combination of youth and a bit more experience, it's a really good combination, I think. The other thing I think that you bring to the business, particularly with you stepping more into the creative stuff in the brand, is, you know, our target market is young professionals, which is what you are and were for a long time. So actually, that's one of the reasons I feel that in terms of what we create, certainly in our local area as HMOs, it kind of stands out from the rest, because you get that market totally, and you get the whole kind of like Instagram vibe and the aesthetic. And so, yeah, when you've got somebody that's in your team that gets it, it's a lot easier to create it, I think.
Definitely. I guess that's where our general... can't even say it. That's where our generational differences and like the gap, they kind of play to the strengths of each other, because I might be able to say like, okay, this will really work for like these type of people, and you'll be good at doing other things. Definitely. So it's like they all work well together. Do you think if you were like much older than me, so like if you were an older mom, because there's only 24 years between us, well, only, still quite a lot obviously, but if you were an older mom, like how do you think that would even work?
I think it could still work. I think what's quite nice about, because obviously, you know, I had you at 24, which to be fair is relatively young compared to the average now, so I don't mind that I'm a younger mom. I quite like it, but I think there is definitely the advantage that I still feel that I've got the energy to almost kind of keep up with you, if that makes sense. And I'm still kind of in tune with, you know, kind of what youngsters are doing in terms of lifestyle and taste and stuff. I feel that maybe if I was a lot older, so if say there was another 10 or 15 years, which there could easily be between us, maybe I would find it harder to connect with what you were trying to create in terms of the creative side and a brand, and maybe I would just be struggling to almost even have the energy to kind of keep up with the business. I mean, the pace that we're growing the business at is pretty aggressive. This is the thing you're really aggressive at, actually. The pace of growing the business, you're like, come on, we need to find the next deal. You know, and 100%, if it was just me, I'd probably be going a lot more slowly. Yeah,
definitely. And to be fair, I think if I didn't have you, I would have gone a lot quicker. Somehow, somewhere, I would have gone quicker. But I think
you're saying I'm holding you back?
No, I didn't mean it like that. I just mean, no, but I mean that I think I would have gone quicker, but I would have made mistakes, and I wouldn't have been able to have the lessons that we've had, and I probably wouldn't be like, you know, like with our deals, what we basically do is we want to try and size up like after every deal, but what I'd probably be doing is buying like one of the same looking house. So like our first renovation, I'd probably be like, oh, okay, I've done that one, I'll just go get one that's similar. Whereas I feel like because we've slowed down, we've actually been able to say, okay, we'll slow down, we'll go for something that's a bit bigger, do you know what I mean? Not just like rushing, like I'll complete in every single week. I think if I didn't have you on the team, then like I'd probably be doing more of that. Just be like, oh, I've brought this many houses kind of thing, when really that's not the be all end all. Kind of
and I think the one thing that I love is I think that we bring a sort of honesty to each other. You know, we'll call things out. I love that we do, you know, whether it's we or you, that we do focus on what have we learned, what mistakes did we make, because I think that's really important, you know, really important. Because if we want to, you know, because we've made, I feel like the level of mistakes that we're making is getting smaller each time, which is good from like a value and a percentage perspective, which actually means that we can then more confidently grow into these bigger deals, because actually we are learning those mistakes on the smaller ones, and then kind of you know, using those to kind of make fewer mistakes each time, which is really important. So I love that. I love that we kind of talk about the mistakes and stuff that we've made.
Yeah, because we had someone ask us, like, because it's when we did the auction video, and then someone was like, oh, you're going to share that on YouTube? And I was like, yeah, let these lot know.
It's like probably the funniest video I've watched on your channel. It literally makes me cry with laughter. So I'm happy for us to kind of like, you know, laugh at ourselves and
Yeah, I don't mind sharing the mistakes either, because I just think, well, if it's going to help other people out, then, you know, we need some honesty up in here. Let's be real.
We do. It's not all get rich quick, easy, you know, easy money, all that sort of thing. It really is a hard slog. It's a lot of effort to create, you know, these income streams, you know, whether you want to call them passive or whatever, but it's a lot of effort to get to something that's vaguely passive.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think it would be weird? Like, imagine if I had another sibling, like, oh, they'd have to be involved as well, I guess. It'd be awkward otherwise. What if they didn't want to?
I'm sure, yeah, it's funny, isn't it? I mean, I don't know, I'm sure at some stage, you know, we will do more stuff with members of the family, I think. Obviously, you know, Dave sort of gets involved a little bit towards the end. Well, and to be fair, he got involved in the strip out. But I can see us doing more specific projects with family members. And obviously we've got, you know, family members and close friends that potentially want to invest with us and whatever. So I'm sure we will do stuff with, you know, more people in the family. I think it's good that, you know, for the last couple of years, it's just been the two of us really cutting our teeth, kind of learning what we're doing, learning our different skills and strengths in terms of what we bring. And then we can kind of branch out and, you know, we'll do other stuff with family members, I'm sure.
Yeah. Just give it time, I guess.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we talk about so obviously the creative stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So you are, because what do you? Here's the interesting thing, isn't it? When people ask you what you do, what do you do? What do you say to them? Like, what do you answer?
Just everything. No, I feel like I'm more of like the creative, so like the design, idea, the branding, the marketing, finding the deals. Because obviously I found that old office.
You did.
So
Leah is the self-titled creative director, creative founder and creative director of LCMN.
I don't even really know what else to call it, to be honest. I'll be honest with you, I'm not that hung up on job titles, so I'm just like, I do what I want when I need to. Like, I'm not bothered to say like, oh, I'm this, I'm that.
Yeah, you are definitely more the creative, because there's stuff I feel in terms of even the finish in the last renovation and even some of the things that were bought and placed in there, I felt that there was stuff in there that I just looked at it and I thought, what is that? What is that? And then interestingly, you know, I think of one of our specific tenants who just really reminds me of you, you know, because she's similar age, you know, quite stylish. And your favourite room is also her favourite room, which is, you know, that just says it all. Like, you totally get the target market, whereas I can't always see it, you know, because I'm not really that visually creative.
Yeah.
But then obviously my focus is really the numbers, the floor plan. Does the deal stack?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think it works well because we definitely both play into our strengths.
So I'll ask you a couple of questions. So how do you balance? So I guess obviously we're running a family business. How do you sometimes feel that it's difficult to sort of balance, you know, the time that you spend kind of like on the business and then like your YouTube sort of side as well, like the YouTube stuff? Was that a correct question?
No. No, I think it is difficult, but I think, I don't know, I just have like my business head on, and it's like, I can see like, okay, you're starting to struggle with doing YouTube and property at the same time. You need to outsource something, you need to get a video editor or a videographer, or maybe we need to get a property manager for like the fifth property or something like that. So I can kind of see the end. I don't just think like, oh, it's so hard to juggle too, but like, what will I do? It's like, I'm ready for a video editor. It's just so I can have help. But yeah, definitely.
If there are any video editors out there, Leah wants to be a video editor.
But yeah, definitely when we did the renovation series, because obviously when we were in lockdown, I was like, okay, I'm going to do like room by room renovations and then a final house tour. So that was like a kitchen video, 8 bedroom renovation videos, and then a house tour. So it was quite a lot because obviously as soon as we finished the project, it was like, okay, just filming everything, and then the day after, it was just all editing, and I decided to do like 3 videos a week, so that was a lot. And then I felt quite stressed because we then needed to go out on viewings, but then it's like, well, I'm just editing all these videos, like I haven't even got time, so it can be difficult then, but generally it's not too difficult. I think because of the way that we are running our business, I feel like we're not really even though property is like our full-time thing, it's not really in terms of like the hours. It's not like a full-time thing all the time. So I guess that's difficult to manage, the fact that sometimes it's like, oh, you need to work this much. And sometimes it's like, you don't need to.
Sometimes it's really intense.
Yeah.
Especially towards the end. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's difficult, but it's only difficult at times. But I feel like because we did service accommodation, I don't know why I brought it up again, because we did that at the start, I kind of knew that that's how intense it gets, because when we were setting up the apartments, that is up there with one of the most intense things I've done in my life. So we kind of knew what we were getting ourselves in for.
Yeah.
It is intense. It's like moving house, isn't it?
Yeah. It is.
And I've moved house a lot.
It's like moving house, but also where you have to buy everything that's going into your house.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard work.
Yeah, so that is one thing. I do feel like I'm constantly like, because it is a lot, even moving house, like people say it's like, oh, it's one of the hardest things you can do. It's like, imagine doing that, but like all the time.
Yeah.
And I do actually move house a lot, so it's like,
it is.
It's a lot.
Yeah, the sort of, you know, our strategy, like the house shares, the setting up is pretty intensive. You know, it does take a lot. I mean, obviously I know that a lot of businesses that are bigger than ours, obviously they just outsource that, you know, they'll have somebody to do that, but actually I'm not sure we'll ever get to the stage where we'll give that over to somebody else, because I love the way that we end up with our own stamp on it, you know, and the stuff that you and Kellina do, I think is just amazing.
Yeah, I could see us working with like, and I mean like working with more interior designers. I wouldn't ever like pass it off and just be like, I'll just do the whole thing.
Yeah.
But like I would definitely work with them, just because I feel like there's so many decisions that you have to make. So sometimes it's nice if someone else can just help out with the decisions.
Yeah.
And obviously they'll bring a different vibe. They can do things better than me. I'm not no interior designer. Like I just look at Pinterest and Instagram. So.
But I think the one thing I think that's great about sort of having you sort of driving the creative stuff as well, though, is, you know, there are a lot of people out there kind of getting into property or doing property, you know, and you see it on the serviced accommodation, you see it on, you know, even with the house shares and everything. And my slight sort of reticence about using interior designers is you might just end up with something that's really cookie cutter, like that everybody is doing, do you know what I mean? And I just feel, and I'd kind of actually say that to all sort of like people getting into property. I think if you want your property to stand out, you've got to put some of your own stamp on it. If you don't, there's a risk that you are just going to look very similar to what's out there. And then you're going to have issues if your market is, if and or when your market becomes saturated. So for me, having somebody in the business that's going to drive that creative is really important.
But I guess like using an interior designer would be different to using like a HMO furniture pack.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like an interior designer could bring a completely different vibe.
Yeah.
Whereas when you just do like HMO furniture packs, which obviously there's nothing, well, if you want to do that, then that's you in it. But
yeah. And to be fair, I think the HMO furniture packs are evolving.
Yeah, I think they're stepping up, to be fair. Some of them
Not like when we
quite
first looked at them a couple of years back, I think, with the essays and stuff, they were a bit...
They were just the same.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What advice would you give? So if, you know, because you get a lot of people asking you how to get into property, like every week, like, how do I get into property? How much money do I need to get into property? How did you get into property? What advice would you give to youngsters, maybe similar age to yourself, or teenagers going into property? You know, would you advise them to go into property but with another family member?
If they wanted to, yeah, and if they get on with the family member well, I feel like because we get on well, it was kind of like, oh, it just makes sense. But obviously not everyone does get on with their family like that. So
yeah, we do get on pretty well most of the time.
Yeah. So yeah, if you get on well with them and you think that, because I think even if people are like too similar, then they wouldn't get on with each other. Whereas I think we're quite different, so we do get on. We're different but similar, so we do get on with each other well. So it makes it easier. But yeah, I think if you want to get into it with your parent, then go for it. But I think make sure that you have your own like thing of, this is what I want to bring to the party. This is what I want to do. This is what I'm going to do. And if there's ever things where you feel like, oh, you're taking over, or like you just decided to do that without me, like, do you not care about my opinion? Just put your foot down. Like, have I ever told the story about the kitchen? It's not even that big of a deal, but
Leave it out, man. It's done.
Basically.
I can't believe it. Can't believe she's still banging on about this kitchen.
No, because this was what's the word? Vital for me. And this is when I just knew I had to just put my foot down on things, and I couldn't be taken for a fool in my own company.
I've heard it all. I've heard it all.
Right, so basically, if you know, and if you've seen our first renovation video, you will know that the kitchen that we had was absolutely hideous with the brown cupboard doors and things like that, whatever. But these lot just wanted to leave it. They just wanted to leave it as it was. They were going to like move the cupboards around and that, but they were just like, nah, we don't need to. And then I was like, we need to paint the kitchen. From day one, I was like, we need to paint it. And it wasn't until the final few weeks where at this point I was practically in tears.
No, you're just exaggerating.
Okay, I was exaggerating about the tears, but like literally I was going on about the kitchen and how it needed painting
True.
for
This is true.
so long. And then you were like, okay, we'll do it. And it was the best decision ever. So sometimes you just got to put your foot down, I think.
Yeah, and I think, and that's probably why, you know, we sort of recognise that you need to take more ownership and step into that kind of creative space, because actually, and even our last renovation, you are definitely more bold. You would make more bold creative decisions. And, you know, I think a good example in the last renovation was with the doors. So we had talked about painting the doors black, I think, right at the start, hadn't we? But then we kind of, you know, sort of backed away from it. It was probably more, you know, me. I sort of thought, you know, is it going to really work? What sort of statements are it going to make? And then I just thought, now, if not now, then when? Do you know what I mean? And I feel that generally that's what you tend to bring. You tend to want to make those very bold design decisions, which is great. Which again, that goes back to the advantage of having somebody, you know, really young on the team, I think.
I feel like that should be like my motto. If not now, then when? I feel like that's a good attitude to just have in life.
Yeah.
Like, if not now, then when?
Yeah.
Like painting the doors, if not now, then when?
Yeah. Or, you know, creatively bold or something. Yeah, you have to come up with your own tagline. Leah Miller, creatively bold or something.
I don't know. But yeah, we have got some like...
Mine is boring. Mine is like Cheryl Miller bean counter.
Wow.
No, Cheryl Miller deal analyzer or something is still boring. I'm sorry, it really is. So in terms of the roles, because we've talked sort of briefly about the different roles and we've talked about what our roles are, but I guess for people that are watching it maybe, that are thinking about maybe going into business with their family, and there's maybe, you know, two or more, because we know some people that are thinking of like a small collectives in a family. We could just talk through maybe some of the roles that there are.
Yeah.
So people could think about their strengths. So there's the finding the deals.
Mm-hmm.
Assessing the deals in terms of like the analysis.
Well, they're like the same.
Yeah, to be fair. Floor planning is something that I love to do. Absolutely love to do a floor plan. What else is there?
There's like the interiors, the management side of things, the management and marketing, I'd say. Yeah,
management and marketing. The finding funds is a really key one.
Project managing the refurbs if you want to do renovations.
Yeah. So there's a lot. Basically, there are lots of different roles. There's then the management side, the admin, on all of that sort of thing. There's there's all sorts. Yeah, there's all sorts. And then obviously managing all of the advice and whatever. But yes, there's no reason. You know, if you are working with a family member, there's no reason to be falling all over each other, because there are so many different things that need doing.
Yeah.
You kind of just need to figure out what your preferences and your strengths are.
Yeah, and I guess that would only become an issue if you do like doing similar things. Like imagine if I was like, I want to do the floor plans, I want to project manage. I think like it would be like, well, who does the creative side of things? So just bring what you have to the table.
I kind of feel so maybe if there are two of you and you are actually just really similar and you both want to do the same thing, it probably means that one of you just needs to take a back seat almost a little bit.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you will just be, clashing potentially and stuff like that.
Yeah. Do you think you could have ever gone into business with a friend or a different family member?
I think you can, but it's I think, and because of what we said before, like at the top of the video around like money and things like that, it can be really challenging, and especially when it comes to property, these are big sums of money. I think that's why for me it makes it easier when it's family, because, you know, and I think the Kardashians say this, because at the end of the day, you'll always go back to the family and the money will never come in between you. Whereas if you're friends, so if you haven't got that blood bond, you know, it is, I reckon it is probably easier to fall out about money. And we've heard of property people that fallen out about money, like partners and stuff like that. So I do feel that for that reason it is better with family. We know a few couples and things like that, don't we, that are in property?
Yeah.
Where it seems to work well.
But I think a couple is different.
Yeah.
Not that I've ever had a relationship, but I can imagine that a couple is different.
I think it's similar. It's probably harder actually even than like a sibling or something like that. Because I've mentored some businesses that are couples, and it is really difficult. Yeah. Really difficult. I think because of the whole dynamics and everything. Do you know what I mean?
I can imagine it to be difficult, like when you're at home and then it's like, are we having business convos or normal convos?
Yeah, and just the dynamic, the power dynamic, I think is quite challenging.
Yeah.
But I think the advantage of doing property with somebody else is it's really nice to have somebody to bounce things off, to share the workload, you know, when you're setting things up, to share the stresses, and just have a laugh. I mean, we do have a laugh, don't we?
Yeah.
Like even when things go really wrong, we still have a laugh. We still manage to have a laugh most of the time. You know, when we went on those disastrous viewings, we still had a laugh. Yeah. And the other reason it's nice to sort of be in business with somebody else, and particularly when it's a family member, is you've got somebody to celebrate the wins with. And also, you know, you're creating a legacy, you know, for your family and within your family, which I think is nice.
Yeah.
And I'm not averse to doing that with a friend, but, you know, when you're with your family, especially like a parent to a child, you know, they're helping to invest in and kind of create that legacy with you. So there's a real kind of beauty about it, I think.
Yeah. And I'll just have to obviously do the same for my children.
Yes.
Just I don't know why I'm holding my stomach.
She's not pregnant.
Yeah, no, I definitely love to like do the same for my children, either help them start a business, go into business with them. Like that's something that would be really important to me, to just like carry it on. Yeah. Otherwise it's like, what's the point?
Yeah. And property doesn't necessarily have to be your be all and end all, because it doesn't have to be a full-time thing, but that's why it's actually just really nice to have it almost like, you know, even if it isn't going to be a full-time thing, you've got other businesses, other interests, your job or whatever, but to have this kind of thing in the background that, you know, is that kind of like solid base of income and wealth for you as a family that you've kind of created as a family, I think it's a really lovely thing.
Yeah,
for sure.
Definitely. Game changing.
It has been game changing for us, hasn't it, really?
Yeah, literally. Like we both don't work, which is nice.
I do work, but just not.
Yeah, well, I mean,
we don't work for other people, you know.
Of course,
just only work for ourselves.
Yeah, like someone said to me the other day, like, when are you gonna retire? And then they're like, oh, but you're already retired. I was like, do you know how much I work? I'm actually offended that you've come and said that to me, like, I'm retired.
We do work pretty hard, actually.
Yeah, every day is a working day. Like.
Yeah. We work pretty hard, we do.
Yep.
And I think it's only going to get... But we enjoy it so much, so it's actually difficult to switch off. When I say difficult, but we do almost work every day, which I feel, you know, a lot of people that work for themselves will say that. So it's not it's not like a Monday, Friday, 9 till 5 thing. It's, you know, because we're doing our own stuff, you do it as and when. And then sometimes you'll just have Monday and Tuesday off, or you'll do something, you know.
Yeah. I feel like I'm overdue, like a proper Netflix do nothing day, just chill.
Didn't we have that on Friday?
Yeah, but I was still working like before.
I wasn't. I was just watching RuPaul's Drag Race. I'm not gonna lie. How many of that did I watch? Like 3.
3? Oh, I thought you meant like
3
over
3 episodes. Oh gosh, lockdown. Yeah, 3 episodes. Yeah.
No, every day like do a bit of work if you enjoy it. That's what they say in that. Is it that Ikigai book?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do a bit of work you enjoy.
Do a bit of work every day. Just get balanced. Do a bit of work every day. Chill out. Get some downtime every day. Eat good food. You know, just I think it's all about the balance.
Yeah, definitely. So where do you see LCM Home going in the future?
Ooh. I think I mean, I can definitely see you taking that as a brand. And obviously LCM Home is just our trading name. So just to clarify for anybody that's going to go detective and start Googling our companies and stuff, I see you taking the brand, I see you stretching the brand into much more of a lifestyle brand. And so who knows where that's going to go. So for me, the property portfolio and the property development is just one. I think eventually it's just going to be one small angle of that, small aspect of that.
Yeah.
And then I see you taking the brand to wherever, whether that be homeware, or, interior design services and consultancy and that sort of thing. Who knows?
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, because I always get people say like, where do you think you'll be in 5 years and that? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll only be 28.
I mean, we've got specific goals for the property portfolio, but they're almost easy. I'm not going to say they're easy, but we've got this goal of like in the next couple of years, we basically want to develop our portfolio so that it generates like this sort of healthy income from around 10 properties. Those are the property goals. But I feel as though as a brand, I think you're going to take the brand much further than that creatively. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Like I feel like we don't want like just loads of HMOs. Like that's just not us.
No.
I definitely want to do like passion projects as well. I'd say.
Yeah.
Like just developing like an old barn because we just felt like it. Do you know what I mean? Rather than just like, oh, we have to do this HMO. We have to look at this floor plan. I'm like,
yeah, 100%. I absolutely see us doing some really creative, interesting stuff. I could see us doing something that's maybe completely modular. I fell in love. So actually, I would say before I fell in love with Homes Under the Hammer, I fell in love with Grand Designs.
Okay.
And I kind of always had these visions of building my own thing. And the Grand Design that stuck with me was the Huff House, which is the German sort of prefab house that was pretty much delivered. And yeah, a bit like you, passion projects, but I'd love to do some really interesting kind of creative, whether it be a new build or renovation, because actually renovation's more a thing, but in a way that's just, so things like, completely airtight homes that are really good for like, things like allergies and wellness and well-being and all that sort of thing. Those are the sorts of things that really would excite me kind of once we've got the base portfolio sorted.
Yeah, definitely. We also always get people ask us if we do property mentoring, but we don't. We don't. We give our 2 pennies worth. Well, we give our 2 pennies worth. So if somebody asks you a question, obviously on your YouTube, then you generally tend to answer, apart from saying thanks. And I'm in a couple of Facebook groups. I don't know why I said that so reluctantly, but I am in a couple of Facebook groups where I will very occasionally give my 2 pennies worth, especially if nobody else has really replied to something, or if all of the comments are kind of similar and I sort of think actually we do something quite different, so I'll just share that in terms of what we do. But we're just not well, in our eyes anyway, right? And we're not saying anything about what anybody else does, right? Because I know that some people have like been in property 5 minutes and then they start mentoring, but for us personally, was that throwing shade? Was that throwing shade? For us personally, we don't feel experienced enough in this game. We've only been in it 2 years, which is kind of like 2 minutes in terms of property. Yeah, it is.
We are not experienced enough to take somebody's money to advise them on property transactions. That's just how we feel. We'll share like our own learnings, but it's just not our thing. So that's why, so I do mentoring and coaching in business because I've been in the business world for like nearly 30 years. So I'm happy to take people's money in terms of business mentoring and coaching, but not on property, like 100%, 100%.
Yeah.
And I'm not actually even sure I can see that changing, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I don't think when I say I don't think we ever will, we will not ever do property mentoring.
Yeah, do you know what as well? I think it's just such a big responsibility, like it's big sums of money, and it's and it's people's time and dreams, etc. And we're just not experienced. You'd have to give us another 20 years and ask us that question. I think
I still wouldn't do
we
it.
do obviously. So some of the questions that you get is you get people asking if they can come and do work experience, which, as you've explained, it's not really practical because it's not like we don't have an office that we go to every day, right? Because who does that now anyway? So we don't have an office. And we're not always working on the property stuff every day anyway, but what we have started doing, which I've really enjoyed actually, is assuming that we've got a renovation on the go or we've got a project on the go, which, you know, if we go at Leah's pace, we always will have a project on the go. What we've started doing is saying that people can come out to site when we're there. So on a day when Leah's filming, or, you know, we're sort of there dealing with the builders or whatever, you can come out, have a look, ask us any questions, and then that's it. And we just do that, you know, obviously for free. And that's it, basically. So that's what we do. But only for people that are really serious, not kind of just time wasters.
Yeah, so I guess that is our way of like giving back and just saying, you know, come on site free of charge, we'll just show you around, because it's just nice to do things like that, you know? Like,
and it makes it really real for people.
Yeah, definitely, because obviously you guys can see the videos, but I think when you see it in person, it's a lot different. But I feel like the people that come and the people that we brought, like, we need to know that they're serious, like, and really, really serious, because obviously if we're having to like show people around and answer questions and things like that, we don't want it to be someone who's just like seen a couple YouTube videos about how to get rich quick from property and then they want to come asking us questions about
so it tends to be people that have seen maybe a lot of your content, have probably already listened to other podcasts, have read a couple of books or something, and they just want, you know, they've just still got a few burning questions that they can't find anywhere else online, and then they approach us. And I feel that works really well.
Yeah, definitely. But it's been really good so far. It feels nice to do it.
Yeah, it does actually. Because when you see the realization from them of what can be achieved, I think especially because we've only been doing it for like 2 minutes, and they kind of think, oh my gosh, you know, if you can do it, they can see that a lot of hard work goes into it, but then it gives them a level of self-belief, I feel. A lot of them, when they come, to see that they can do it as well.
Yeah, definitely, and it's really nice. I was actually telling someone that we did that the other day, and they were like, don't you charge for that? Don't you charge for that? And I was like, no, like...
Because we're going to be there anyway.
Yeah, literally, that's what I mean. It's like I'm going there to film. I'm not going to charge someone for like something I was already going to go there and do. Like, and again, it's not, you know, we're not naive commercially. We know that some people charge for that, but we just don't need to. And it's not as though people kind of like abuse it. You know, I feel like everybody that's come and done it, it's been really worthwhile actually, and they've been really respectful of our time. And you know, some of them bring gifts like chocolates. You don't have to bring us gifts.
No, literally, it's like a box of chocolates or something, which was so sweet, just as a show of appreciation. Which actually, that happened to me once before, you know, when I'd answered somebody's questions. I think I'd offered to give somebody a phone call and, you know, they just like gave me a box of chocolates. That's so much nicer because, you know, we're not doing it paid anyway, just like showing that gratitude.
Yeah.
And not, you know, kind of wasting time and stuff.
Definitely.
It's cool.
No, I enjoyed that, like when we were bringing people around.
Yeah,
we'll definitely.
It's cool. We'll do it on the next one.
For sure. So just hit me up if you're interested.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say to the people?
Not really. I think, you know, just my parting sort of bit of advice would be, you know, if you are thinking about going into property, I think particularly if you are, so my advice to somebody that's my sort of age, so maybe if you have got a teenager, because a lot of teenagers are looking at property. Mm-hmm. If you've got a teenager or somebody, you know, kind of like early 20s or something, it's definitely worth looking at going in with them, but going with them as like a 50-50 partner, but make sure they're motivated, you know, because you don't want it to be you kind of dragging them into the business and they're not really that willing. You kind of have to see that they are absolutely motivated. I love that ours is the other way around, almost that you've dragged me into it, because then I know that you definitely want to do it, you know. But I would say, for any parents out there, I do think it's a really good idea getting involved with your offspring.
It just reminded me of my cousin. I don't know if he told you about there was a guy and he like dragged his sons into property basically, and they didn't really want to do it, and then he ended up like buying all of this stuff like toilets and all that, like to do up a project, and now he's having to sell it all on because his sons don't want to actually do it. Like they can't be bothered, and I don't think he can really be that bothered. But I think he was thinking like, oh, we'll all do it together, and then it was just like
but they gotta want to do it. They gotta want to do it. And I guess, do you know what? For me, that comes back to, which I know a lot of people are talking about this, in particular, financial literacy, especially in certain cultures. You know, you read Rich Dad Poor Dad when you were, like, how old?
16, 15.
And I feel like it is really important actually in terms of passing on to that next generation, that financial literacy around the creation of, you know, assets and wealth. And not saying that that's the be all and end all in life, but, you know, wealth is a part of life. So if you have got, you know, youngsters that aren't interested in that, maybe that's where you want to start actually with the financial literacy.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of sort of talking about futures and things like that, because, yeah, it really is it's kind of the bedrock of sort of security in terms from a wealth and financial perspective.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, people always say like they don't teach you those things in school.
No.
But nowadays we got YouTube, we got podcasts, we got books. So yeah, there's always plenty information for people
definitely
to get. Cool. Let's wrap it up then.
Let's wrap it up.
So where can people find you if they want to hit you up?
So I'm on Instagram as Coached by Cheryl. Obviously it's not property coaching, it's business coaching. So it's at Coached by Cheryl on Instagram and on Twitter. And I'm on LinkedIn as well. But Instagram is the space that I'm starting to, you know, you've dragged me into the world of Instagram and I'm starting to love it. Yes, that's where you can find me, at Coached by Cheryl.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, you actually do post quite a bit.
I do, don't I? I was literally about to post before we did this video, but I was,
Never mind.
I'll be there.
Cool. And my Instagram is at Leah_Miller, and then you can follow LCM Home at _LCM Home. But make sure you subscribe and give this video a big thumbs up if it's helped you out. But thank you guys so much for watching. Really appreciate it as always, and I'll see you next time. Bye.